Welcome back, everybody. So glad you could be with me here today. This is a very important day. Why is that? Well, we're going to get into a boring topic, but we are on the cusp of 6,000 subscribers. So, email the link to this video or to the channel to every woodworker you know. Share it on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, whatever, Pinterest, I don't know. Share it everywhere you can. Let's break that 6,000 subscriber mark. That's your job. So, today I just want to briefly go over the topic of boring. And like I said, it's a boring topic. And I'm not going to get into the real nitty gritty of the history because I want to make this a reasonably short video. However, if you've done any research on hand tool woodworking or on historic woodworking, you'll know that some of the earliest drill bits were a sharp, pointy stone lashed onto a stick, and you would rub the stick between your hands and you would make a hole with the sharp, pointed stone. Through the years, they came up with, copper and bronze and steel and iron and all this other stuff. And so different types of drill bits would emerge. Probably some of the original ones with just a pointed bit. Some of them may have been like the birdcage awl, which is a tapered square shaft that's sharpened on all four sides. And eventually, they developed different types of drill bits. I know in stone, they like to use star bits, but in wood, some of the earliest ones I know chair makers would use were a spoon bit. It looked like a spoon. And then they came up with they utilized the concept of the screw in order to come up with the auger. All right. Now the auger goes back to what? Was it Da Vinci's time? And they could use it to move grain up or coal or whatever. But then they realized too that if you have a sharp edge on either side, you could use it to make holes. And you make augers of all different sizes and shapes. Now, one of the ways that augers were turned was in a T handle affixed to the top of the auger. And every auger had its own solidly fixed handle. Well, that was very inefficient and not easy to transport. So they came up with removable T handles and a tapered end. This one has a thread on the top that holds the mechanism on, but it is unfortunately missing. I need to go to the hardware store and see if I can find a nut that might at least hold that on. So the concept would be you turned in clockwise direction, and every turn was 180 degrees, and you had two cutters on here, so every 180 degrees, each cutter cut half the hole. Very boring, very labor intensive. And so what if you were trying to bore a hole close to a pole, or you're on a ship or something and there's something in the way? Well, they came up with, over time, a ratcheting auger. That's what this is. This is a ratcheting auger. And it's reversible and it's lockable. I can lock this and use it like a traditional auger. You can turn it both ways, or you can ratchet it to unwind it. So that's the T-handled auger. But that's still very inefficient energy-wise. So they came up with continuous motion. Okay, you have a hand or breast piece, and you have a handle, and you have a chuck that held bits. And this happens to be my original set, and they have a tapered square shaft. Many of you have seen that. And these chucks only held that bit in place. You can put round bits in here, but they're meant for the tapered square shaft. So you now had rotary motion. You can keep going round and round and round and round and round. And you've seen some of the wooden ones that had a very narrow stroke, okay? And so you had to turn, you didn't get the torque. So then they came up with these iron ones, the steel ones, and they made them out further and further, okay? And so you can see this one has more torque than this one. But once again, you have the ability to ratchet. Okay, so there's that. Now this one, I believe, is my original, and I believe it's from 1976-77. And it just so happens I have two of them, same era. One has a bit more oxidation and corrosion. That's mine. The other one is a little more pristine. All four of these ratchet. Now, in the 1970s, Stanley went into the maroon phase of tools, maroon hand planes, maroon handles, and plastic parts. I'm not a fan, but it's at that time, it's what we had. So that's that. And this is my original set of bits to go with my brace. Every size from 1/4 inch to 1 inch in a nice protective wooden box. And they're all there, every last one of them. Some have been used, some have not been used. When I was at an estate sale, the same sale where the people who gifted me the Bedrock 605C, this was hanging on the wall. Same Irwin bits, except in a wall hung display, which made it easy to take them off and to put them back. And it's even marked 1 for 1 inch, but bits are marked in 16ths. So 1/4 inch is number 4, and the 1 inch is 16. So 4/16, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, blah, blah, blah. It's up to 16/16. So I have that brand new set. And to the best of my knowledge, I have not tried every one of them. Most, if not all of these, have never been used. So I told you this was going to be a boring subject. Lastly, what if you need to make a hole bigger than 1 inch? Well, they did make augers that were that big, but they were so rare that they weren't specialized. Well, there's this. Okay? The original Irwin Expansive bit. Same tapered square shaft, but this is adjustable from 7/8 to 3 inches. And it's sort of like those flywheel cutters we have for our drill press. It has one cutter. It would be nice if they would have designed this with twin cutters. That would have made them a little bit more expensive. A little more engineering. That's about it for today. And like I said, share this video, as boring as it is, with everyone you know that does woodworking. Oh, you know what? Share it with everyone who doesn't do woodworking. Somebody's got to like this stuff. Share it on antique forums. I don't care. We'll break that 6,000 subscriber mark here, and confetti will go up. Maybe we'll get that golden button, you know. But like, subscribe, and share. Head out to your shop. Just don't let it be so boring. Walter out.